We're just over a week
you.
away from one of the biggest shifts this digital generation is likely to see. On December 10, Aussie families will need to adhere to the government's social media ban and restrict access for users under 16.
Facebook and Instagram's parent company Meta has announced it will begin closing teen accounts as early as this Thursday. So, how did we get here and what should families be doing to prepare? For more, we welcome technology expert Val Quinn and psychologist Scott Fatt. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Gentlemen, lovely to see you both. Val, give us the context for this ban. How did we get to this point?
Well, if you think about it, social media has only been around for about 20 years, so we've never really had this, kids growing up and through it, so it's, in some ways it's like a grand experiment. And there's been a lot of pressure from parents. There's a lot of evidence already to suggest that it's not good for kids, as great as it is as a, connection and something to share things through. Things like exploitation, bullying, data harvesting, misinformation, all of these things are a concern, and I guess right now we want to kind of err more on the side of caution for children as they're growing through this really sort of important developmental stage. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Scott, we're seeing some horrible stories here, but as a psychologist, what were you seeing in your work, do you think, that led to this ban?
Yeah, we see that social media has a lot of features that can make it unsafe, and kids talk about how their reels are kind of filled with these highlight reels of everyone's life that looks perfect, and they can see the perfect bodies, the perfect lives, the perfect friendships, and when they look at their own lives they kind of feel maybe I don't really measure up, and that can lead to feelings of depression, feelings of anxiety, body dissatisfaction and whatnot. And so there's a lot of these kind of comparisons that are being made.
And bullying as well, right? That's a big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, and we can see, some kids, they get bullied both online and offline, but because online can sometimes be anonymous, it can be quite private, that bullying can really get to people, not just at school, but at home as well.
Yeah. Val, next week is the deadline, but Meta has announced it's starting a little bit early, starting this Thursday. What will underage users see from this point on?
Well, if you think about it, there's about 1 million teens that have to sort of be migrated off of these social platforms. So I think with Meta, I think they're doing it now, one, to prepare kids, I guess, because they want to download their memories, they want to, take things that are valuable off their accounts or download them.
Can you sort of hold your account and put it to sleep, though, for want of a better word?
Well, I guess it's sort of the accounts are suspended. I mean, I don't know if they're really closed. And if you leave your contact details with them, if they have that, they can contact you when you are 16 and you can get your account back. It depends on the social media platform. But I think part of it is to give the social platforms a chance to prepare to do it, and as well as to give people a chance to get ready to download their stuff. And also, I mean, remember, too, that there are accounts out there that maybe don't even, they don't have the right age associated with the person using it.
Yeah.
And they also need to reach out to those accounts and say, hey, we think you might not be of age. Maybe it's time you need to verify yourself. So I think that's going to be happening as well during that process.
Yeah.
Scott, these are tricky times, difficult age to communicate well with your teenagers, right? On any level. So how are families preparing for this now? What sort of conversations are parents need to have now?
Yeah, it's really important that the ban is not really the end of the conversation, it's the start of the conversation. So thinking about how do we as a family want to use digital technology, not just social media, but online generally, and how do we navigate kind of the dangers in a safe way. So talking about how you're using it at the moment, what are the things that are going to be lost, and then thinking about how we can prepare to meet those needs in a different way. So downloading some of your memories, some of your history and whatnot, looking at can you get other ways to connect with your friends, connect with the people that you've met online, other ways to find entertainment, to deal with boredom and those types of things.
Scott, is there just a chance, though, hopefully, fingers crossed, that there is a huge amount of relief for both the kids and the parents?
Yeah.
Is there a chance it rolls around from December 10 and you go, whew, now I can relax. Now I haven't got that sitting over me. Is there a chance that might happen?
Yeah, we're talking about, I guess, a ban that's going to affect hundreds of thousands of people. So some kids might get that relaxation, they might get that relief. Other kids might be quite distraught. I think about kids that don't really have friends at school and they've only been able to make friends online. And so for them, there might be actually quite a big challenge that comes up, and having a conversation as a parent and say, hey, how can we connect you in with those people online in a different way that's safe is going to be really important.
Val, we'd be foolish to think that there's not already a gaggle of teenagers working out how to get around this, right?
Oh, yes.
And teenagers are so much more tech savvy than their parents, right? So how do parents deal with this when the kids go, yeah, I'm off, but they're not?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to consider is that this is not going to be perfect. First and foremost, I mean, this is to do it at this scale. I don't think it's been done before. There's been some places around the world that they're doing some of it. So. Yeah. Like, they're the kind of tools that are going to be used are like age estimation, where it looks at your face, looks at your photo, or you do a selfie. There's going to be, you have to supply ID, maybe government ID. I mean, you don't have to, but there's some issues around privacy around that. Yeah. So types of ID, and then also getting parents to get involved, to say, yes, this is my child of this age. There's all these ways. There's also VPNs, which is another way that you can kind of pretend you're from a different country. But the technology platforms that are out there are all fairly robust now. They've been around for long enough that I think they're going to do a good enough job at the beginning. And then from there, I think they're going to have to work out other ways that kids are figuring out how to do this. I'm not going to give anybody any ideas. But, so I think the most important thing to remember is it's not going to be perfect, and every single social platform is going to have an appeals process. So if you're misverified, you can appeal it. And with facial recognition technology, the 13 to 17-year-old age group is actually a bit tricky. Some of the platforms out there they're less than 100% successful in those areas, like 90% or something, according to their ratings. Yeah. So there's all of that, and also you can go to the eSafety website, and there's also an appeals process there too if you want to work outside of the social network platforms. But it is meant to be their responsibility to stop circumventing the systems, and meant to do everything they can to stop it.
Stop it.
Yeah, there will be a bit of figuring it out, I think.
Yeah.
Sure.
Scott, just quickly as we say goodbye, what are some of the emotional, perhaps, responses and behavioural responses that parents might need to look out for in their kids once this ban kicks in?
Yeah, looking out for any big changes. Obviously, as a parent, you know your kid best. So thinking about, are there any big changes that are happening in things like mood? Maybe they used to chat with me in the car on the way to school. Suddenly they're not really sharing much. Any secrecy around their use of the internet and whatnot. I think it's really important that as a parent you make it clear that if your young person is trying to get around the ban and something bad happens online, they don't feel like they're going to get in trouble if they come clean about it. Yeah. That as a parent, you're going to be able to support them, and that you're going to be able to say, hey, we can help, keep you safe online.
Yeah.
Scott, Val, great information. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, busy boys. We'll be exploring this social media ban all week. This is part of 7 News Presents, explaining the social media ban. So make sure you're watching the news every night at 6 p.m, and there is a 6-part series which is rolling out all week. It's right here on 7, Social Media Ban Explained. Parents, your questions will be answered.
Yeah, lots to get our head around.